The iPhone XS and XS Max are the best and most expensive iPhones ever. They start at roughly $1,000 for a base 64GB iPhone XS and go all the way up to $1,450 for a 500GB iPhone XS Max. Apple is basically asking for a small fortune here. So can its smartphones deliver? Can they make us empty our bank accounts yet again? Almost nothing has changed in the design since last year. Probably the most interesting thing is the new gold color option, which looks nice and creamy. While these new glass iPhones are still very fragile and should be handled with care, they have at least scored IP68 certification for dust and water resistance. You are also free to spill various beverages all over them, such as coffee, tea and soda, but we're not going to demo that. The big deal this year, literally, is the iPhone XS Max. This bigger model is about the size of last year's iPhone 8 Plus, but has a 6.5-inch OLED display. It's a massive phone with an amazing display. If previous Plus models felt unnecessarily large, this year at least it feels like you get enough screen in return for all the inconvenience of having to carry such a big and heavy phone. If you absolutely need to have the biggest screen possible on your smartphone, the XS Max is just the obvious upgrade, no matter what phone you're coming from. Even if it's an iPhone 8 Plus, the XS Max will feel so much better. So aside from the size difference, the viewing experiences on these phones are essentially identical. One is 5.8 inches, the other is 6.5 inches. Both use the same great OLED technology and have identical pixel density. You're getting exactly the same quality, just different size, and the 5.8-inch screen of the XS is by no means small. You do get a bonus feature on the XS Max, which is split view, where for example in Mail, when viewed in landscape, you get a list of emails on the left and the selected email on the right. But that's not really new and doesn't seem like a big deal. For the most part, the user experience is the same with both phones. You just see a tad more content on the XS Max, but it doesn't do anything to enhance productivity, sadly. Instead, the big screen finds its use mostly for entertainment. Video, photos, games, reading, these are the things that benefit from it. Powered by iOS 12, the iPhone XS and XS Max come with outstanding performance and a host of fun and useful features. There are Animoji and Memoji, there are also group notifications, and there's Screen Time, which is Apple's new stats and wellness feature designed to give you clear info on how and how much you're using your phone, as well as to let you limit your or your kids' time with the phone or with certain apps. Group notifications are also great if you get spammed too much. But if you still want to get all notifications separately just from some apps, you can do that by tweaking the app's settings. According to Apple, the new A12 Bionic chipset is both faster and more power efficient than the A11 in the iPhone X, although the difference isn't too drastic. A bigger jump is expected in the graphics department, where Apple is promising up to 50% better performance. If the pure processing benefits don't get you very excited, maybe the new Neural Engine will. The Neural Engine is what is powering Apple's machine learning efforts. It can handle on-device, real-time machine learning that enables the phone to recognize patterns, make predictions and learn from experience. It is what powers things like Siri suggestions or contextual search in the Photos app, where you can just type beach and you'll get your photos taken at the beach. It also has a hand in some exciting new technology for the camera, but more on that later. This year, we get new storage capacities for the XS and XS Max. The base configuration remains 64GB, but the upper tiers are now 256 and 512 gigabytes. Honestly, the 64GB base storage sounds just fine, but if you happen to record a lot of 4K video, especially at 60 frames per second, then choosing one of the higher tiers makes perfect sense. The killer new camera feature is called Smart HDR. The new iPhones are using their more advanced image signal processors and the new neural engine for a more complex processing of images. Like any HDR feature, Smart HDR aims to deliver more nuance and details in highlight and shadow areas. We've taken a bunch of photos using the new XS camera and compared the results with what's come out from the iPhone X camera, and we can say there's indeed a big improvement. Take a look at this portrait photo captured with the iPhone XS Max on the left and the X on the right. Because it's a dynamic scene and there's a lot of light coming from behind the subject, Victor appears fairly dark in the photo from the iPhone X. With its more sophisticated processing though, the iPhone XS manages to properly expose both the subject and the background. The other interesting new camera feature debuting with the iPhone XS and XS Max is depth control. What it does is it lets you change the amount of bokeh or background blur that you get in portrait mode photos. So now you can take a portrait of someone using portrait mode, and then in the editing options you can use the depth control slider to vary the amount of blur that you're getting. In a similar manner to still images, dynamic range has also been extended for video recorded with the XS and XS Max. And they record in stereo now. Even with these peculiar display notches, the iPhone XS and XS Max are awesome phones to watch video or play games on. Not just because of the large OLED screens, but also because of the superb stereo speakers, which are now even louder and with more pronounced stereo effect. Call quality is just fine on the new iPhones. Our experience was, in a few words, loud and clear. The more interesting thing is that these are dual SIM phones now. The way that works is you need to have an unlocked model, and then you can get your carrier A to activate service on the XS's embedded eSIM. That carrier has to support the eSIM standard, and then you need to get a nano SIM card from carrier B to insert into the slot. Battery life is an area where we expected a slight uptick in longevity for the XS versus the X, but both phones scored about the same in our PhoneArena battery test. And as for the XS Max, which has a considerably larger battery, it's getting about an hour more than the smaller phones. So in absolute numbers, the XS and XS Max hold up very well, especially the Max. They aren't battery life breakthroughs or anything like that, but they are solid. Charging speeds with the included 5-watt chargers continue to be incredibly long. The chargers Apple supplies are not strong, which is why it takes so long. 3 hours to charge an iPhone XS and 3 hours and 20 minutes to fully charge a XS Max. You can use a faster charger if you have one lying around, or something like the iPad's 12-watt charger is also very good for the purpose and will charge these iPhones way faster. If money is not an issue, these are great phones to get. Performance is unwavering. The OLED screens are large and beautiful, and the cameras are amazing. If you're basically glued to your phone all day, and that's your primary window to the internet, and you're just a fanatic consumer of video content, get the Max. It's just $100 more expensive, starting at $1,100. In all other circumstances, the XS will be a terrific choice. Still, if you do have some sort of limitations on your budget, it might be worth waiting for the iPhone XR. It will launch towards the end of October, but is going to start at $750. Until then, you can learn some more about the XS and XS Max by checking out our way more in-depth review of these phones over at PhoneArena.com. Thank you for watching this video, and in case you just can't have enough content about phones and mobile in general, just visit us at PhoneArena's YouTube channel, or better yet, PhoneArena.com for our complete coverage of this beautiful industry.